Welcome to your personalized deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that's been on your mind. Surviving a nuclear war. Heavy subject for sure. But you know what they say, knowledge is power. And who knows, maybe what we learned today could make a real difference. Our primary source is an excerpt from Nuclear War Survival Skills by Cresson Kearny, specifically the 1987-1999 edition. Now you might be thinking, isn't that a bit outdated? Well, that's what's fascinating. The author of the updated 2022 edition actually states this version still holds up for survival.
It's true. The core principles haven't changed that much, though. It's worth noting that there is a 2022 edition with newer methods, which you can find at www.nuclearwarsurvivalskills.com. But for our deep dive today, we're going to extract the key survival wisdom from this classic edition, almost like creating a cheat sheet for, well, the unthinkable.
Right, a cheat sheet for the apocalypse. So walk me through this. What's the book's overall tone? Is it all doom and gloom, or does it offer a glimmer of hope?
The tone is surprisingly reassuring. Kearny emphasizes that just by having this edition, you're already significantly increasing your chances of survival. It's almost like he's saying, take a deep breath, we've got this.
Okay, that's a good starting point. I'm not going to lie, the whole nuclear war thing does tend to make one a tad anxious. So how does the book address that anxiety?
It acknowledges the very real threat of nuclear war and stresses the importance of being prepared, even when things seem relatively safe. But it avoids fear-mongering. It focuses on empowering readers with knowledge and practical skills.
So it's about finding that balance between awareness and action without letting fear paralyze you. I think that's what Kearny calls the doomsday mindset.
Exactly. It's not about living in a constant state of panic, but rather about cultivating a mindset of preparedness. It's about acknowledging the possibility of a nuclear event without letting it consume your every thought.
Got it. Be prepared, but don't freak out. So beyond this doomsday mindset, what are some of the book's core survival principles? Where does it tell us to start?
Information is key. Kearny believed that knowing what to do and how to react during and after a nuclear event drastically increases your odds of survival. He even includes stories of people who survived Hiroshima and Nagasaki by applying basic survival knowledge.
Wow, those stories must be intense.
Right.
It's incredible to think that even in those horrific events, people found ways to survive. Okay, so we need to be informed and mentally prepared. But what about the practical stuff? What are the tangible things we can do to increase our chances of survival?
The book dives deep into key survival principles, starting with shelter. It's all about building what are called expedient fallout shelters, basically using readily available materials to create a safe haven from radioactive fallout.
Okay, expedient fallout shelters. That sounds like something I could actually try to build. But wouldn't finding sturdy materials be tough in a disaster? What kind of stuff does the book recommend using?
Resourcefulness is key here. The book provides detailed instructions using simple things: dirt piled high, sturdy doors, even incorporating existing structures like basements, for example. It suggests using a heavy, solid core door covered with at least 8 inches of packed dirt as a basic shelter foundation.
8 inches of dirt. That's a lot of dirt. I'm starting to see why he calls them expedient.
Oh!
Okay, so shelter is crucial. What's next on the survival checklist?
Water. After a nuclear event, securing clean water is paramount. The book focuses on DIY filtration methods, emphasizing that you don't need fancy equipment.
Right, because who's going to have a Brita filter handy after a nuclear apocalypse?
Exactly. The book recommends a simple cloth filter. You layer it with charcoal, sand, and gravel. This setup removes larger debris and many contaminants.
That's pretty ingenious. I'm already feeling a little more prepared. So we've got shelter, water. What about food? I imagine stockpiling is a big part of the plan.
Stockpiling is essential. Kearny recommends focusing on long-lasting foods. But he also discusses post-event foraging and food preservation techniques for the long term.
Foraging. I guess knowing which plants are safe to eat would be pretty handy. And what about preservation? How do you keep food from spoiling without refrigeration?
The book goes into detail about drying, salting, and even burying food for preservation. It emphasizes techniques that were used before modern refrigeration.
Okay, so we've got shelter, water, food, all crucial for survival. But what about the big scary elephant in the room? Or should I say, the radioactive cloud in the sky? How does the book address radiation?
Radiation is a significant threat, and the book dedicates a substantial portion to it. It provides practical advice on minimizing exposure and protection measures.
That makes sense. But I'm guessing this is where things get a little more technical. Does the book go full-on nuclear physics textbook on us?
It does get into some detail, but it prioritizes clarity and actionable steps over complex scientific explanations. For example, it emphasizes staying indoors, especially during the initial fallout period. as one of the most effective ways to reduce exposure.
Might make sense. So it's about understanding the basic dangers and taking practical steps to protect yourself. Not necessarily becoming a radiation expert overnight.
Precisely. It's about empowering yourself with the knowledge to make informed decisions in a crisis.
Okay, so far we've learned that surviving a nuclear event is possible with the right knowledge and preparation. We've talked about the doomsday mindset being mentally prepared without panicking, and the core survival principles: finding or building shelter, securing clean water, knowing how to find food, and protecting yourself from radiation.
You've got it. Those are the key takeaways, the foundation of nuclear survival, according to Kearny.
It's a lot to take in, but I have to admit I'm feeling a bit more empowered already. Like maybe surviving this isn't totally impossible.
That's the power of knowledge, and that's just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface of what this book has to offer.
Well, I'm definitely ready to dive deeper. Let's see what else we can uncover in this survival guide.
There's a lot more to unpack. We've covered the basics. But surviving a nuclear event isn't just about the immediate aftermath. It's about navigating a changed world, maybe for years to come.
Yeah, that's a whole other layer of complexity, isn't it? I mean, how do you even begin to wrap your head around that kind of scenario?
Yeah.
It's like something out of a movie.
It's easy to get caught up in the Hollywood version of a post-nuclear world. But the book encourages a different perspective. Kearny emphasizes the importance of community, cooperation, and maintaining hope in the face of adversity.
So it's not just about individual survival, but about collective resilience. Does the book offer any practical advice on how to build community or foster hope in such a situation?
Well, it's not the book's primary focus. It does touch upon the power of shared knowledge and skills. Imagine a group of people pooling their resources, supporting each other, and working together for the common good. That becomes a powerful force in a world turned upside down.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like that saying, united we stand, divided we fall. But in this case, it's more like united we survive.
Exactly. And beyond survival, there's the question of rebuilding. How do you create a sense of purpose, of hope, when everything you knew is gone?
I imagine that would be incredibly challenging. But I also think humans are remarkably adaptable. We find ways to create meaning even in the darkest of times. Does the book touch upon that at all?
It does. Kearny believed that even in a post-nuclear world, humans would strive to create a new normal, to find purpose and meaning in the face of devastation. He saw the potential for innovation, for adaptation, for a resurgence of the human spirit.
That's a powerful perspective. It's easy to fall into despair when contemplating such a scenario, but there's also a glimmer of hope, a belief in the resilience of humanity.
And that resilience is often rooted in community, in the bonds we forge with others. Think about it: sharing resources, providing support, working together to rebuild. These acts not only increase our chances of survival, but they also give us a sense of purpose, a reason to keep going.
It's almost like preparing for a nuclear event could have a positive impact on our lives right now.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? What if we applied these principles of preparedness, self-reliance, and community building to our everyday lives?
I see what you're getting at. So it's not just about stocking up on canned goods and building a bunker, but about cultivating a mindset of resilience, of interconnectedness.
Exactly. Strengthening our communities, learning practical skills, becoming more self-sufficient. These actions create a more resilient society, regardless of what the future holds.
That's a really powerful message. It's like this knowledge isn't just about surviving a nuclear war. It's about living more consciously, more purposefully, more connected to our communities.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, that our actions have ripple effects, and that even in the face of unimaginable challenges, there's always hope.
Wow, that's deep. I never thought I'd find such profound insights in a book about nuclear survival.
It's all about perspective, and I think this book offers a valuable one, even if we never have to face the specific threat it addresses.
Okay, I have to admit I'm feeling a bit more optimistic now. It's like this knowledge, even though it's rooted in a pretty dark subject, has the potential to empower us, to make us more resilient, more connected, more alive.
That's the beauty of knowledge, isn't it? It has the power to transform, to inspire, to illuminate even the darkest corners of our fears.
So what's the next step? What else does Kearny have in store for us in this survival guide?
Well, there's a lot more to explore. Kearny doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of a post-nuclear world. He delves into topics like sanitation, healthcare, even the potential for societal unrest and conflict. But he also offers practical advice, emphasizing ingenuity, resourcefulness, and the importance of maintaining a sense of hope.
That sounds intense. but also incredibly valuable. I'm ready to keep digging. What else can you share about Kearny's insights?
He has a fascinating section on recognizing and treating radiation sickness using simple, readily available materials. It's a bit grim, but it underscores the importance of understanding the risks and knowing how to mitigate them.
Okay, now that's getting real. I can see why having this book, even an older edition, could be a lifesaver.
It's about being prepared both physically and mentally. And it's about recognizing that survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about rebuilding, adapting, and creating a new future.
That's a powerful message. I'm starting to see this book less as a how-to manual for the apocalypse and more as a guide to living a more resilient and meaningful life, no matter what challenges we face.
That's a great way to put it. It's about embracing the principles of preparedness, not just for a potential nuclear event, but for any of life's curveballs.
I love that perspective. It's like this knowledge isn't just about surviving the worst-case scenario. It's about thriving in any scenario.
Exactly. It's about empowering ourselves with the knowledge and skills to navigate uncertainty and build a better future, no matter what that future may hold.
This deep dive is turning out to be a lot more profound than I expected. What else does Kearny have to say about navigating this new world?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of psychological resilience, of finding ways to cope with trauma and loss. It's a side of survival that often gets overlooked.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Surviving the physical challenges is one thing. But how do you deal with the emotional and psychological impact of such a devastating event? Does the book offer any guidance on that?
It does. Carrie talks about the importance of finding purpose, of focusing on the things you can control, of maintaining hope for the future. He also highlights the power of human connection, of supporting each other through difficult times.
That makes sense. In a situation like that, community wouldn't just be about survival. It would be about healing,
Yeah.
about rebuilding a sense of normalcy and hope.
It's about recognizing that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit has an incredible capacity for resilience and renewal.
That's incredibly inspiring. It's easy to get lost in the doom and gloom of it all. But Kearny seems to be saying that even in the face of unimaginable destruction, there's still a chance for a new beginning.
Exactly. It's about choosing hope over despair, action over inaction, and connection over isolation.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey so far. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basics of shelter and water to the complexities of community building and societal reconstruction.
And there's still more to uncover. Carrie's book is a treasure trove of practical advice and thought-provoking insights.
Well, I'm ready for the final leg of this journey. Let's see what else Kearny has in store for us.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more point that Kearny emphasizes: the importance of long-term thinking. Surviving the initial event is just the beginning. It's about rebuilding for the future, for generations to come.
That's a really profound point. It's easy to get caught up in the immediacy of survival, but the impact of a nuclear event would be felt for decades, even centuries. How does Kearny address that long-term perspective?
He talks about the importance of sustainable practices, of preserving knowledge and skills, of creating a society that can thrive, not just survive in a changed world. It's about thinking beyond our own immediate needs and considering the well-being of future generations.
That's a powerful legacy to leave behind. It's almost like this knowledge isn't just about surviving a nuclear war. It's about ensuring the survival of humanity itself.
It is. And it's a reminder that even in the face of such a catastrophic event, we have a choice: to succumb to despair or to rise to the challenge, to use our knowledge and ingenuity to create a better future.
This entire deep dive has been an incredible journey. It's definitely challenged my assumptions and expanded my understanding of what it means to be prepared, not just for a nuclear event, but for any of life's curveballs.
And that's the beauty of knowledge, isn't it? It has the power to transform us, to challenge our assumptions, and to open our minds to new possibilities.
So wrapping this up, we've covered a lot of ground, from the doomsday mindset to expedient fallout shelters, DIY water filtration foraging, and even the long-term challenges of rebuilding a society.
You've hit the key points. And remember, Kearny emphasizes that even having this knowledge significantly increases your chances of survival.
It's a lot to process. But I have to admit, I feel a strange sense of hope. It's like this knowledge, even though it's rooted in a pretty dark subject, has empowered me.
That's the power of knowledge and perspective. And even if this particular event never happens, the principles of preparedness, self-reliance, and community building are valuable in any context.
Absolutely. Well, we've reached the end of our nuclear survival deep dive. I want to thank you for guiding us through this complex and, let's be honest, a terrifying topic. You've done an incredible job of breaking down the information and making it both understandable and actionable.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, if you're feeling inspired to delve deeper, the full book, including the updated 2022 edition, is available at www.nuclearwarsurvivalskills.com.
A great resource for anyone who wants to be truly prepared. And hey, even if you never have to face a nuclear event, the knowledge you've gained today can empower you to live a more resilient, resourceful, and connected life. So on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those big questions. And maybe start a community garden. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.